welcome to Latest Installment of My Dad Listens to This. I'm Juliet, the daughter.
And I'm Kevin, the dad.
And this week, we are back with part 2 of our coverage of Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. We already had a recap in part 1, but, Dad, anything we need to know before we go into part 2?
Yeah, a couple of things. First, listeners, for some of you, I guess the waiting really was the hardest part because we took an extra day because one of us was in Boston for the weekend.
Yep.
That would be me. But we're back, for better or for worse. Anyway, so now it's 1985, and Tom was kind of tired. He'd been doing the record, tour, repeat cycle for almost 10 years, and his most recent album, Long After Dark, didn't sell as well as like previous albums. And so he wanted to do something different, like make some sort of big artistic statement. Thus, the album Southern Accents, which was supposed to be a concept album about the South. But he kind of lost the thread along the way. There were songs that were dropped. There were other songs that had nothing to do with the concept were added. And in addition to Tom and the Heartbreakers, there are also an additional 24 or so other musicians playing on the album. So It was big. And there's been a lot of ink spilled online, or maybe it's bits and bytes or whatever, about the making of this album. One Michael Washburn even wrote a whole book about it called Southern Accents, and I read an interview with him, and it's just really fascinating. Like all the stuff that was going on behind the scenes. So let us just jump into the first track.
Rebels. I ended up listening to the version Tom performed at Live Aid in 1985, and guess what?
What?
He has another space jacket! I still needed the lyrics for this one, though, because with the opening, Tom did sound drunk due to not enunciating his words, and I love the musicianship in the live version with the horns and backup singers, and Tom is just having a blast with a cool pair of sunglasses and a smile on his face. The character of the song is a washed-up drunk whose lady has had enough. She kicks him out, drives him to the station, and screams at him the whole way down. He's a rebel, but also a bit of a bum, and knows he'll come right back to her. And even though this guy is washed up, you find yourself rooting for him anyway, even if you yourself aren't a rebel or weren't born in Dixie on a Sunday morning. Which that lyric made me curious, considering Tom is a Florida man and it wasn't part of the original Dixie. Anyway, but I think I'll download the Live Aid version because it's just such a good time. The Live Aid cover doesn't exist on Spotify, unfortunately. And shout out to the backup singer in the blue jumpsuit and gold high heel shoes going full church on the tambourine. You go, girl.
Okay, so this was the opening act from Southern Accents, and this was the song that made Tom punch the wall and break his hand because he didn't like the mix or something. It wasn't coming out the way that he wanted. So,
punch your wall, I guess.
Yeah, hey, I make a living with my hands. I think I'll ruin one of them. Anyway, Tom's with a woman at a bar and she's leaving, and he asks her not to walk out as he's too drunk to follow. He admits he's rough around the edges, and he also says that he feels hollow inside because, quote, I get faced with things sometimes that are so hard to swallow, unquote. And he declares he's born a rebel born on Dixie on a Sunday morning with one foot in the grave and the other on the pedal. And she comes back the next day, apparently to bail him out of jail, probably for a drunken disorderly.
Yeah.
And she's screaming at him in the car and throws him out in a thicket, maybe while the car was moving. And anyway, I think in the third verse, he lets it all out. He says, even before my father's fathers, they called us all rebels, burned our cornfields, and left our cities leveled. I can still see the eyes of those blue-bellied devils when I'm walking around tonight through the concrete and metal. There's definitely a lot of Civil War stuff going on here. And conceptually, yeah, it was different. And musically, this was different too. I mean, horn section.
Yeah.
And it just makes it bigger, like almost cinematic. And I'm going to go on a limb here and say it's almost Dylan-esque in that it just has a lot of words. So if it has a lot of words, you're Bob, or you want to be Bob.
So you want to be Bob Dylan.
Just cram as many words as you can into one line.
Also, when you talked about Tom punching the wall, the first thing I thought of was Andy in The Office when he has to go to anger management.
Oh, yes.
And he punches that hole in the wall and he goes, that was an overreaction. Anyway, next track. Don't come around here no more. My first note, oh boy, it's the Alice in Wonderland one, here we go. And then my second note, don't worry, Alice, I'd freak out if I saw Dave Stewart with fingernails that long, too. In fact, I think that was the most scared I've ever been of Tom Petty in my life. Alice winds up at the Mad Hatter's tea party, and of course, the Mad Hatter is Tom, which makes me wish there was a version of Batman that had him play the Mad Hatter after this came out.
Ugh.
I think Tim Burton could have made it work. This was right up his alley. Anyway, the Mad Hatter tells Alice not to come around here no more, and I think it would be applicable to the Alice in Wonderland story if Alice kept trying to escape to Wonderland and everyone got sick of her. At first, Alice is scared and alarmed by the changing sizes in teacups, but then she and Tom flirt, but then he freaks her out more, and he finally ends up eating her in cake form, ending the music video with a burp and politely wiping his mouth with a napkin. I hope that cake was actually good because I know they probably had to film take after take after take.
After cake.
The song itself is okay, but the music video is one you won't forget anytime soon. As for The Boys of Summer winning Best Video, if this was the only video that existed, then sure. It's shot well and looks pretty, but it's not as creative as Just a Gigolo or Don't Come Around Here No More. Now, if Just a Gigolo won over this, I wouldn't have been mad at all.
Well, I think the thing with Boys of Summer is it appealed to a lot of baby boomer execs at the network.
Gross.
And so that's probably why.
As a baby boomer yourself, how do you feel about that?
I couldn't throw up enough. I mean, again, it's an okay video. It looks good. It's shot in black and white.
But compared to those,
we'll get to my video opinions as we go on.
Okay, good.
Anyway, this is also from Southern Accents, and you're gonna love the background story per Wikipedia.
Is this the George story?
Nope.
Okay.
Wikipedia don't lie, I think. But I mean, it does have the citations. So, okay, Dave Stewart of Eurythmics had a romantic encounter, sort of, with Stevie Nicks. She had broken up with Eagles guitarist Joe Walsh the night before.
No way.
And invited Stewart to a party after a Eurythmics show in, where else? Los Angeles. Now, here's the thing. Dave didn't know who she was.
Really?
But went along anyway because it's Stevie freaking Nicks. It's like 1985 freaking Stevie Nicks. Come on. Anyway, the other party goers decided to coke up because it was the 80s. So Dave, he just went to bed. He wakes up around 5 a.m. to find Stevie in the bedroom trying on Victoria clothing.
Okay.
Maybe she had a little bit of the Coca-Cola. I don't know. Joe Walsh showed up later in the morning to find Stevie. She threw him out, and Dave heard her say to Joe,
"Don't come around here no more."
Oh, you are smart. So Dave wrote part of the song, but was having trouble trying to finish it. So producer Jimmy Iovine suggested, hey, show it to Tom, who finished writing it. And again, musically, this was different for Tom because you've got Dave Stewart playing the electric sitar. Not just the sitar, it's plugged in the wall.
That's interesting.
And then you get the cello, and then you get the female backing vocals. It's just so different.
But it works.
And then there's the video.
Yes.
You know, like you said, the Alice in Wonderland one, and I think it's one of the greatest videos ever made. And Tom's Mad Hatter, love the rectangle sunglasses.
Yes.
And for the most part, you can't see his eyes, but the man is just so damned expressive.
He's creepy as hell in that video.
Oh, yeah. And it only won Best Special Effects at the MTV Video Awards. And again, it was nominated for Video of the Year, but lost out to The Boys of Summer. And like I sent you David Lee Roth's video because I don't know if you'd ever seen that.
Oh yeah, you had shown me it before. 3, 2, 1, Dave!
Hello. Yeah. Anyway, that should have, either that or Don't Come Around Here should have been Video of the Year. But like I said, I think Don Henley's video just kind of played upon the baby boomer executives at MTV.
Which you are one of that generation.
But I'm not an MTV executive.
Yeah, but look what your generation hath wrought in music video history.
So embarrassed.
Next track, The Best of Everything. I hear the Beatles' influence with the horn section. Almost lifted out of Sgt. Pepper. It's not that Tom has pity for this woman, he has empathy for her. They hook up, and you get the sense he woke up first and is taking a good look at her. She's a good-looking girl who's been through a lot and worked a couple crummy jobs. And even if she was rich, she probably wouldn't be happy. And Tom could tell she was searching for something while they hooked up. And as he says, I hope you found what you were looking for. It's almost like a breakup song, but a beautiful one that I was very moved by.
This is the closing track to Southern Accents. And so Tom thinks about a woman that he used to know. They never had the real thing. They used to kiss and they didn't understand what they were caught up in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's like he wonders now, well, gee, whatever happened to her? Is she a waitress like her mom? Or maybe she's singing in the nightclub? But it's like he hopes, whatever she's doing, he wishes her the best of everything. Case. No, I mean, I don't know. I mean, sometimes I think about people from the past and I think,
What are they up to?
yeah, what are they up to? I hope they're doing all right. Some of them, I hope they're dead.
And now you can go on Facebook and find out the answer for some of them too.
I just can't be bothered. Anyway, this is a big ballad with a big sound and again a big horn section. Plus, we get not one but two members from the band: Garth Hudson on keyboards, last band member standing, and Richard Manuel on harmony vocals. And I went back and listened to it again, and yeah, I can kind of pick them out in there.
Next track. So you wanna be a rock and roll star?
Well, maybe at one time.
My first note. Oh boy, this song again. Listen, we already talked about this in our Birds episode, so for my full critique on the meaning of that song and its critiques of the industry, go listen to that podcast.
You just cannot escape the Birds.
No. What I noticed this time around was the musicianship of the horn players, the harmonies, and how everyone in the video is genuinely having a good time, especially Tom playing for the crowd and feeding off their energy. But the standout playing is Mike Campbell on guitar. So the best way to enjoy this? Forget it's the Birds and pretend it's just Tom. But I can't download this song. I just can't, because I really know whose song this is, and I don't want to give them any more airplay than I already have, even a Tom cover. I'm sorry, Tom, I love you, but I can't. I'm like Sally and Charlie Brown. I can't do it. I just can't do it.
Okay. This is from Pack Up the Plantation Live, and this was from the subsequent tour for Southern Accents. And apparently, the whole video was available on YouTube at one time, but it got taken down due to the Confederacy imagery on stage.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyway, a Birds cover. How about that? The Boyds.
How about that?
Yeah. How about that? Yeah. Maybe Tom figured he owed Roger McGuinn something, like the start of his career.
Or maybe he just wanted to have fun and sing a song he liked.
Could be.
Yeah.
And yeah, they do a decent cover. And I've got to say one thing. Listening to these songs and watching these videos made me realize Mike Campbell is one of the most underrated guitarists out there.
Correct. I mean, I was watching Concert for George on Friday night because it was the anniversary. And they had Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers come out and play 3 songs, and Tom played for the rest of them. But Mike Campbell had to do the guitar solo for Taxman, and he did a pretty solid job. All of them did a pretty solid job. Next track, Jammin' Me. Okay, did Bob write the whole thing or part of the thing? I Googled it quickly to be sure.
He and Tom wrote it.
Okay, if Tom Petty had to write one protest song in his lifetime, then this was a good one to have. I Googled the origins of this song and its meaning to be sure I wasn't too far off the mark in my analysis, and I wasn't, not really. It's a critique of the media barrage and the age of disinformation. Tom feels inundated for sure, but I also think the Jammin' Me could be a reference to how the media wants you to think a certain way, and if you have a certain set of beliefs, they try to shove you as a square peg into a round hole. See Manufacturing Consent by Noam Chomsky or Hate Inc. by Matt Taibbi for more. It's interesting out of how the 3 performers he lists, 2 are SNL performers, Eddie Murphy and Joe Piscopo, and 1 is Vanessa Redgrave of the Redgrave acting dynasty, which to members of my generation who don't know who that is, you definitely know her daughter, Natasha Richardson, who was Elizabeth James in The Parent Trap. Do some Googling on her family tree and you'll see the powerful acting blood that ran into that woman's veins. But I'm thinking, well, maybe he's referencing Vanessa Redgrave because she was an advocate for Palestine back in the day and always has been. I don't know. Anyway, the comment that summed it up best is how this song has aged too well with social media algorithms. So I posted this on Blue Sky, the Twitter alternative now that it's going to hell, and I posted it with the caption, R.I.P. Tom Petty, you would have hated the algorithm.
Okay, this is the opening track from Let Me Up, I've Had Enough. Mike Campbell came up with the music track and then gave it to Tom, who sat on it for a bit. And then when he was working with Bob Dylan, he pulled it out and they came up with the words.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's about being overloaded with information,
Mm-hmm.
or I guess really just being inundated with the media,
Mm-hmm.
probably the same thing. Now you got to keep in mind, this was 1987.
Just when cable TV was in its infancy.
Hmm. And the scary thing is, almost 40 years later, still relevant. I mean, you watch
Yep.
the video, and in the background, it's just showing like all these magazines and newspapers,
Yep.
just flashing really quickly, and thinking, oh, if we only knew back then what we were in store for.
My generation's version of this song is "Welcome to the Internet" by Bo Burnham.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now the only thing that dates this just a little, just a little, is the references to Eddie Murphy, Joe Piscopo, and Vanessa Redgrave.
Eddie Murphy, I think, is a bit more timeless for my generation because of him playing, Donkey in Shrek.
And the dragon in Mulan,
Yep, Mushu.
Mushu,
Mm-hmm.
Daipan.
Vanessa
Anyway,
Redgrave, if you're British, maybe not, but Joe Piscopo, definitely. That's what dates it the most. Most people hear that name and go, who?
well, Joe Piscopo was actually on an episode of STNG when Data was trying to figure out humor.
Oh, that's who that was?
Yeah.
Oh, Mom never let me watch that episode.
Really?
I don't know. I guess she didn't find it that funny or something. She was like, we could skip that one. Pick another one.
Oh, okay. Anyway, apparently, well, I mean, at the time, Saturday Night Live, Eddie and Joe were like the big.
Huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, apparently, Eddie was none too happy about it
Oh, I was going to ask.
in an interview, but Tom came out and said, no, it wasn't him. Bob wrote that line.
Wow, way to throw Bob under the bus, Tom.
So one Thomas Earl Petty is throwing Bob under the bus.
Oh, Bob must have loved that.
And I remember, Mike Schaubs was PO'd when Tom came out and said, oh, no, I love Eddie and Joe and Vanessa. And he was like, no, that was such a great line. I thought you meant it. How could you just backpedal from that? But for him to say, oh, that was Bob. Oh, my God. Anyway, the line that I really like a lot, the lines, take back your insurance because there is nothing that's guaranteed.
Yeah.
Which is too true because for me, especially these days, it's like you pay insurance. You're paying insurance for the car, for the house, for the umbrella insurance.
For your health.
All this. And then, if you actually need it when it's time to collect, the insurance company will do whatever it has to make sure you don't get the money. So I think, what the hell's the point? You're not going to pay me. Why do I even bother? Huh?
Try saying that to a person just fighting to get health insurance right now.
I know. Great rocker, absolutely timeless. I hope 40 years from now it's no longer relevant, but it'll probably be even worse.
It'll age like milk.
40 years from now, I could be 102. I'm pretty sure I'll be dead.
I'm pretty sure you'll be dead too.
Oh, thanks.
Well, if you are alive, I'll be like, how the hell did you last this long?
And I'll be going,
No, then I'll smother you and end it.
Please, I beg of you.
Please get that in writing. Next track. It'll all work out.
Will
I don't know, but for Tom it will. Oh, but it didn't. Oh. Anyway, I wasn't expecting that Joe Jackson-esque opening with the strings, but it's absolutely beautiful. Tom's marriage broke up, and he admits it was his fault because he wasn't there when she needed him. He admits that she'll be better off with her new guy than she was with him. There's a musical wistfulness, but there's also an inner peace of acceptance, which I don't think a lot of songs have. Very powerful track.
This is also from Let Me Up, I've Had Enough. And yeah, it's a really sad song. I was pledged to her for worse or better. When it mattered most, I let her down. And then he sings, that's the way it goes. It'll all work out. And he admits that she'll be better off with him than here with me. And according to the liner notes in the playback box set, Tom wrote this about his first wife, Jane. They were still married at the time, but they were kind of going through a rough patch. And he did say that, she was always there to support him. And I guess it was just like, well, that's the thing, being on the road and all that. And
at least he had the maturity to admit it.
I think the only one, like one of the few people who realized, it's the rock and roll life and it's not fair to share it with someone or be married to someone, David Lee Roth.
Oh, yeah, he's never been married, has he?
Never been married because he knew, like, I'm going to be on the road and it's the road life, baby. And he just was not going to put anyone through that.
Good for him. Next track, Love is a Long Road. I see this song as being about the immaturity of young love. how you just sometimes want another person to cling to and think if you can mold them into the perfect partner, it'll all work out. But as Tom says, it's a long, long road, and if you don't have the patience for it, it's not going to come to fruition. Now, one of my favorites on the album so far, even though it rocks.
Hmm. Okay, I just have one more thing to say about "It'll All Work Out" because I can't even read my notes here.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's definitely a sad, mostly acoustic arrangement for just like one of the saddest songs ever. Anyway, "Love Is a Long Road." This was from Full Moon Fever, and yeah, it's another relationship gone wrong song. And I think AllMusic.com nailed it by saying that the musical arrangement was definitely influenced by two Who songs, Baba O'Reilly and Won't Get Fooled Again. And I didn't send you either one of
No.
those. I didn't even think of it. Sorry about that. And I kind of feel like you do. Like, it's an okay song,
Yeah, but.
and I don't have much to say about
Yeah.
that. And there's another song that didn't make the cut that should have been on here, and we'll get to that a little later on.
Is it the one with the bangles?
We'll get to that a little
Yeah,
later.
that's a yes. Next track, Free Fallin'.
Yeah.
I went on Wikipedia to research this song a little bit, and hearing that it was produced by Jeff Lynne makes so much sense because I can hear him in the background vocals. Here's the thing. This is the first time I've had to really pay attention to this song, having heard the chorus basically all my life.
Mhm.
The story is simple. Tom fell in love with a good girl, he screwed things up, and he's no better than the vampire boys sapping the energy out of teenage girls in the end. He said he wrote this about what he'd seen driving down Ventura Boulevard.
Mhm.
And I have to say, it's a pleasant song to listen to, but doesn't grab me. So, Dad, as someone who was there as it was becoming a hit, help me appreciate this song more and why it's so beloved.
Because I think people only listen to the chorus. You're like, yeah, I'm just free falling, man. I'm just going through life. Whoa.
That's not what it's about, though.
I know, but see, that's the thing with a lot of songs. Keep the chorus intelligible and catchy, and that's all that matters. You
Thanks
can
a lot,
sing
Nick.
whatever you want in the verses, and it don't matter.
Mm-hmm.
So this was the opening track from Full Moon Fever, and this was written by Tom and Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, like you said, it was just about what he saw during the drives along Ventura Boulevard. Very interesting video, I must say.
And it's set in a mall, which you couldn't do nowadays.
No, I guess not.
I mean, you could at Providence Place, but it's going into receivership.
Oh, and you can't do it at Emerald Square Mall because probably 3/4 of that is just abandoned, and they probably still have cattle running through the place.
Oh yeah. Well, fun fact, at my job they're having a union outing on Friday. I can't go because I have to go to the doctor at the same time. But the original purpose of that union outing from 1 to 3 in the afternoon was so that union employees could have time during December to go shopping at the mall. Which I think is interesting.
Meanwhile, the 90s called, and you know they want their day off back. Anyway, yeah, musically this has Jeff's fingerprints all over it. It's like ELO minus the violins. Mm-hmm. And you know it's because the album was produced by Jeff and Tom and Mike, but to do one of my 1776 impersonations, it reeks of Lynn, and more Lynn.
Took me a second to remember the line.
And I don't mean that in a bad way, but I mean, you know, Tom and Mike probably tried to do what they could, but you know, you get Jeff in there and it's Jeff.
Yep, but not in a bad way.
No.
Next track, You're So Bad. This song was pretty funny, and so was the music video where Tom Petty is an actual peeping Tom. Tom's sister married a yuppie, took all his money in the divorce, and is now a singer, swinger, dating a dancer. Meanwhile, the ex-husband has gone into a downward spiral and had sex with a blow-up doll that he carries with him everywhere the way Linus carries his blanket. The sign that the marriage was on the rocks should have been the opening moment in the video where the groom accepts his cell phone call during the wedding. Anyway, Tom's just grateful he has a nice girl to keep him sane in this crazy world, and he can just sit back and laugh at all the insane, crazy bullshit his family is putting itself through. Fun time.
Yep, this is also from Full Moon Fever, and yeah, Tom's sister got lucky, married a yuppie because it was the 80s. Took him for everything he had, but that's not going to happen to Tom. No, sir. You want to know why? Because you are there to save him. Mm-hmm. And I think it's one of his funniest songs.
Oh, yeah.
Especially with him trying to figure out which one is worse.
Yeah.
And then, you know, it comes down to like it's almost like a trifle, but it's a darn catchy one. And again, the video just puts it over. It's
Especially when the blow up doll shows up. It's like, oh, they went there.
this they did.
Next track, I Won't Back Down. The best part of the video is Ringo and the giant globe. It's giving Paul on the adventures of Paul on the floor in Help, but Ringo's version. Anyway, what an awesome life Tom Petty had where he could call his friends and ask them to be in his video, only they happen to be Jeff Lynne, Ringo Starr, and George Harrison. I love this song Sans video too because it's a good anthem for how you won't take life shit. To quote Frank Reynolds, when life gives you lemons, you gotta take those lemons and stuff them down someone's throat till they see yellow.
I missed that show. I got to get back into that. Anyway, this is also from Full Moon Fever, and this is his anthem because Tom says he's going to stand up at the gates of hell and he won't back down. And it's been used in a lot of political campaigns. W, Hillary, Ron Paul, Don.
They had to. The family should cease and desist for Don.
And for W also.
Oh yeah.
And also Tom and Jeff, because of this song, are credited as co-writers of Sam Smith's song "Stay with Me."
I heard it once you pointed it out.
Which Sam swears he never heard. Which is possible.
He's English. Probably doesn't listen to Tom Petty as much as we do in the States. Or they're English. Pardon me.
But it was a big song. Anyway, yeah, this is the video with half of the Beatles, George and Ringo, not John and Paul. Anyway, yeah, it's like, whoa.
What are you guys doing
that's
here?
That's half the Beatles playing with Tom.
Yeah.
And with Jeff. And with Mike.
Yeah.
Fun fact.
Yeah.
Ringo did not play drums on the original track. One Phil Jones did. And he must have been watching this video wondering,
where's Ringo here?
Why am I not on the... Oh, yeah, because it's Ringo. Yeah. Anyway, Phil had played on the Del Shannon album that Tom had produced back in 1981. So, there you go. And at the recording session, Tom had a cold. So George went to the store, got ginger root, boiled it, and made Tom stick his head in the pot so the steam would open up his sinuses.
Yep.
It did, and then Tom went in and did the take.
Everybody say, thank you, George.
Thank you, George.
I got to do that recently, too, because I've been waking up with sore throats more often, but Fred recommended a humidifier for me to get from my room, so fingers crossed that works.
It should.
Anyway, next track, Running Down a Dream. There is something so hilarious about seeing an animated Tom Petty being flung down a spiral staircase in the most cartoonishly animated way possible, because the music video is a cartoon. It's totally nonsensical, so I won't even try to explain it, but the song is about Tom Petty and Del Shannon having a pretty chill day together running down a dream. Hence the dreamlike sequence of the cartoon we're watching, where Tom and his friend encounter shenanigan after shenanigan. Is the animation perfect? No, but you can tell it was made by people who grew up watching the cartoons of the 30s and 40s, so it's a nice homage.
Even earlier.
20s?
We'll get into it.
Only time they lost me was when the fireworks kept going on for a little too long, but other than that, a fun video for a chill song.
Okay, this is also from Full Moon Fever, and it was a very autobiographical song for Tom because he sings about running down the dream of being a rocker. And I'm pretty sure he made it. Anyway, the line me and Del were singing Little Runaway is a nod to Del Shannon's 1961 hit Runaway.
Which you sent me, yep.
Yep, and Tom would produce an album for Del in 1982, Drop Down and Get Me. And then some years later, it was rumored that Del would take Roy's place in Traveling Wilburys.
Nope.
But sadly, he took his life in 1990, possibly due to the Prozac his doctor suggested that Del start taking.
God damn it.
And he did, and his wife said that he just became a different person.
Oh, that's sad.
And she really believed that the Prozac contributed to...
I hope that doctor got sued out of his ass for malpractice.
But Del was posthumously inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1999. And anyway, musically, this song is a dead ringer for Queen of Hearts. I hope I sent you the... Okay.
I heard a little bit of the similarity.
Now, Dave Edmunds first recorded it in 1979, and he begged the record company to release it.
Which we discussed in our Halloween episode.
Yep, and they wouldn't do it. And then Juice Newton did her version, and it became famous. Hers went all the way to number 2 in 1981, and the song that kept her out from number 1?
What?
Endless Love by Lionel Richie and Diana Ross.
Oh, that's a nice song.
Because that was the Brooke Shields movie and it came out and
Oh, okay.
it was like unstoppable. Anyway, I think songwriter Hank DeVito could make a strong case for a songwriting credit here because it would just be so easy to do a mashup of these two songs.
Someone get on that.
Now, here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
This was the last song on side one, and after this song, there were barnyard noises that were made by Del, Tom, and Jeff. And while the noises are being made, Tom says, "Hello, CD listeners. We have come to the point in this album where those listening on cassettes or records will have to stand up or sit down and turn over the record or tape. In fairness to those listeners, we will now take a few seconds before we begin side two. Thank you, and here is side two."
I love him.
Now, as for the video,
Yeah.
it was heavily influenced by the comic strip Little Nemo in Slumberland by Winsor McCay, which ran from 1905 to 1911. And the comic strip
Wow.
looked just like that.
Wow.
And this was back in the days where a Sunday comic strip took up an entire page.
Cool.
Back when Sunday comics could do that. And the thing is, Nemo would have adventures, but in the last panel, it was always
Oh, a
him
dream?
waking up from the dream.
Okay.
And the people who did the video got everything right. Just the crazy perspectives. Nemo's friend Flip, he was the one who was with Tom.
Okay.
And just like the perspective, the way the buildings were, the characters, it was kind of like an anything goes comic strip. And if you ever go online and look at full strips, they're just eye popping that this one guy just went nuts creatively. And you look at it and you realize, yeah, this is why this is why comics took up full pages back then. Just unbelievable.
Next track, Learning to Fly. I think this song is supposed to be a coming-of-age story. At least it appears that way based on the music video. We see a little boy be fascinated by some go-go dancers with the look on his face of, wow, this is amazing. Then years later, that same boy is cleaning up the pool and the local Mrs. Robinson tries to seduce him.
He's like, wow, this is so amazing.
No, he's like, ugh, this is gross. Then finally, the kid learns how to drive after a night of clubbing, only for him to swerve out of the way and crash his car and for it to explode. But he meets this woman who I guess was in the other car, and then they kiss. Not my favorite by Tom, but still pleasant.
Mm-hmm. And then that's the same video where like he meets the druggy lady, and he's like, "Hi."
I think so.
And then
yes.
he sees RFK's assassination on TV.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, this is from Into the Great Wide Open, and Tom's learning to fly without wings, and what goes up must come down. And that's kind of it for me, really. I mean,
yeah,
it's a catchy song, kind of laid back. Again, Jeff producing.
Mm-hmm.
And as for the video, there's lots of planes in the video.
There's so many planes.
I know.
Holy shit.
Because they're all learning to fly.
Mm-hmm. Next track, Into the Great Wide Open. The melody of this song sounds like something George would have written.
It does. Yeah, I could. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I could definitely. This could have walked off of Cloud 9, no problem.
Oh, easily. And then as I'm watching the music video, I realize, oh my God, that's Johnny Depp. And then I thought the woman was Uma Thurman, but nope, it was Faye Dunaway. Tom also makes a bunch of cameos as a tattoo artist, some random radio host / journalist, but he mostly plays Bart the roadie, the only one who sticks by Eddie's side. It was also the first time I noticed Tom's lyrics here because I think the only reason he picked the name Bart was because he needed a rhyme.
With heart and chart.
And it's like, okay, Tom, sure, Bart, a totally common name other than Bart Simpson.
I could see Bart Simpson being a roadie eventually.
Oh, yeah. Tom tells us the story of Eddie, a kid who hitchhikes to L.A. after graduating high school, where he makes it big as a rock and roll star, but when he shuts out the woman responsible for his success, I don't need you anymore, she puts a legit curse on him and shit starts to go south fast. Eddie's girlfriend gets pregnant, he's booed by everyone in the industry, and his label axes him. And when he knocks the motorcycles over, the first thing I thought of was Pee-wee's Big Adventure, where he knocks down all the bikes at the biker bar. According to Tom, they all lived happily ever after, but I don't think they did. Great video, felt like a mini movie.
Mm-hmm. This is also from Into the Great Wide Open.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously.
How did you get Johnny and Faye?
There was a movie that they were working on at the time, and the director needed to take a mental health day or something.
Oh, okay.
So Tom gave it the old, hey, you want to be in my video?
And they both said yes. Oh.
So this is the story of Eddie and how he became a rock star. And the part that always got me is um, like he gets the guitar, but the girl's the one that teaches him the chords. And I'm thinking, well, if she knows the chords, why wouldn't she be famous herself?
Maybe it's just a passion or a hobby for her.
Yes, but anyway, the song ends on an ominous note where their A&R man said, "I don't hear a single," which means
you're dead.
You're dead.
Yeah. Or as Quincy Jones would say, if you can't tell who a singer is within the first 15 or 30 seconds of a song, no one's going to ever listen to it again.
Now, as for the video, it's over 6 minutes long. So the song was extended instrumentally because it's only like 3.5 minutes.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, yeah, this is the one with Johnny Depp, back when everyone liked him.
Yeah, before everything. Well, before everything. We don't have time to get into that.
Yeah,
That's
so
not what the show is.
He was just starting out. And it also features Faye Dunaway as his manager, fairy godmother. And a word of advice, do not mess with Faye Dunaway.
No, go listen to the What Went Wrong podcast about Mommy Dearest.
Just do not mess with this woman. No. Don't even think about it. She played Bonnie and Clyde, so you know.
Hey, boy.
Gives you a clue anyway.
Yeah.
Now, this song is okay. I mean, I've always kind of wondered what the chorus had to do with Eddie's story. Like, maybe the Great Wide Open is supposed to be a metaphor for like loads of possibilities. Like, you're just starting out in life. And you're going into the Great Wide Open, and anything can happen.
And anything will happen.
Yeah, so who knows?
Next track, Two Gunslingers. Very Traveling Wilburys opening. I wouldn't be surprised if you got Keltner for the drums on this.
I think he still had
Steve Ferroni? Or not yet?
No, not yet. Oh my God. I want to say Stan Lynch. It's Stan.
It's Stan? Okay,
it's Stan
you remembered.
Lynch.
There
yes.
we go.
I get it mixed up with Ron Blair. Sorry, people.
Anyway, I also want to say I really like the artwork for Into the Great Wide Open.
That cover?
Yes,
yeah.
I love it. Two old gunslingers get ready for a fight, but then one of them says he doesn't want to do it anymore, and the other one says, you know what? You're right. What are we even fighting for anyway? So they peace out, and the townsfolk are disappointed that they didn't get the fight they were promised. But the gunslingers are never heard from again because they're taking control of their life right now. Good motivational song for self-reflection and interchange.
This is also from Into the Great Wide Open, and it was not released as a single. And like you said, you know, two gunslingers, they're going to meet, and they decide, one of them says, I don't want to do this anymore. You know, I don't want to either. They're going to take control of their lives. The crowd hisses and boos, because this is not what they came to see, damn it. We want blood. I think it's about people who are expected to do a certain thing or act a certain way all the time. And if they don't, people will turn on them.
Yeah.
And I think Tom possibly could have been writing about himself maybe because I know like musicians are always expected to sound a certain way or their fans are not going to stick with it.
Or like what Bob Newhart said when his first album hit #1, people wanted him to do those same bits over and over when he did stand up live. And he said, I had a singer's career that way where people wanted me to do the hit tracks and nothing else.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, with fans, some of them are going to hate it and turn on the artist, but some will, you know, stick with them. They realize, okay, this isn't bad. They're doing something different. And I think some musicians, they're like, nope, I don't care. I'm still going to do what I want to do. And they're going to follow their muse no matter what. And if you want to go along for the ride, fine. And if you don't, they're fine with that too. Really good song.
Next track, Mary Jane's Last Dance. I remember when I first saw a clip of that music video as a kid, I thought that Tom Petty got a real dead body to dance with. Because when you're a rock star, you can do whatever you want, right? Nope, it's Kim Basinger. Tom works at the local morgue and comes across the prettiest corpse he ever did, so he sneaks the body home to a house that looks like the one from Beetlejuice.
Kind of does, yeah.
Only it's by the sea. Asks if she wants to watch TV, but the body slumps over, so he takes it as a no. Dresses her up for candlelit dinner, dances with her, and then buries the body at sea. Only she's very much not dead and wakes up in the water, which I was like, holy shit. I think Tom took her home because it was the closest thing he'd come to scoring with Kim Basinger in real life. I didn't pay attention to the song too much because the music video is so good, but I have to say, Tom doesn't come across as a necrophiliac so much as an oddball. Because he
Ah,
doesn't deflower the corpse, he's just very, very weird with it. So, Dad, if you have any thoughts here, please go right ahead.
okay. Anyway, this is from.
Sorry, it's like Creature from the Black Lagoon by Dave Edmonds. All
All
he wanted was a lady.
Okay, this is
Sorry.
and in the Shape of Water, he got the lady.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But the lady wasn't dead.
This is from Greatest Hits.
Mm-hmm.
So Mary Jane grew up in an Indiana town, and her mom wasn't around, but MJ managed to grow up tall and grow up right. And I guess she moved down to Florida and met Tom. Grooving of some sort occurred,
Mm-hmm.
but she told him she had to keep moving on.
Mm-hmm.
And Tom has one last dance with Mary Jane, probably both MJ and the Righteous Weed,
Mm-hmm.
one more time to kill the pain. And then it seems like Tom left too. He woke up alone, hit the last number, and hit the road.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
How did he get Kim Basinger?
we're gonna get to that.
Okay.
But first, the song originally was gonna be called Indiana Girl, but Tom thought
he already has American Girl. You don't need it.
Cross, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. As for the video, yeah, like wow, that corpse looks a lot like Kim Basinger. Because it is.
Kim
Because
Basinger.
according to Tom, the corpse had to look really good, or why keep her around after she's dead?
Yeah.
And the first person he thought of
Kim Basinger.
thought she'd be pretty good. He'd keep her a day or two. So he asked her, and she said yes. And apparently, it's how a lot of kids know her.
Other than Batman or 50 Shades of Grey, if you're from my generation, which we don't talk about that.
She's in that?
Yeah, you know who else is in that movie? Marcia Gay Hadden. Which is fun, which is the one thing I agree with CinemaSins on. If you win an Oscar, then you should just be exempt from movies like that forever.
Okay.
Don't have to, but yeah, she plays the Mrs. Robinson character who molested Christian Grey when he was a kid, and I guess that's why he's so screwed up. It's weird.
Okay. Anyway, Kim said that working with Tom was great, and that he was shy, she was shy. They really didn't talk a lot to each other, but she said when they made the video, they just laughed a lot because the director was trying to tell them, "You need to be serious."
I'm a dead body that Tom's dancing
Yeah,
with.
pretty much. Yeah, I'm just playing this dead body, and that's pretty much all I can do.
The only mostly dead body, we should say. Yeah, because I accidentally
that part at the end still freaks me out.
I know, because I accidentally fast forward and it's like, wait, why are her eyes? What? No, oh my god. So it's like, is she gonna come back to the house? Tom. Anyway, next track. Waiting for Tonight. Okay, the version I listened to first was the live version. He performed in, was it 2017? Oh god, just before he died, with the Bangles. And I gotta say, the audience was pretty damn respectful with the clapping and the cheering. Because I know if Dad saw a concert with Tom and the Bangles, you'd probably lose your shit.
I think I would try to be respectful.
Well, yeah, but if Tom was like, "Ladies and gentlemen, the Bangles," then you'd probably lose your mind. Like, oh my god, oh my god.
Keep it under control. Keep calm.
And I think the Bangles did a good job with the backup vocals. But then you listen to the original studio version, and what a great sound that one has. Tom is stressing about a girl he's going to be seeing again, and he acknowledges maybe he does romanticize her in his head, but he's in too deep now, and he's been looking forward to this night for so long, he doesn't care. He's gonna follow through. Shout out to the sound engineers who mixed this. It sounds amazing, especially the 2015 remaster. And I have to say, the women that Tom works with, Stevie Nicks, the Bangles, and technically Grace Jones, their styles mesh together really well, so he knows how to pick music partners.
This is from the box set playback, and this was originally recorded in 1989, and it was supposed to be on Tom's Full Moon Fever album.
But
it didn't make the cut somehow, but yet Love is a Long Road did?
But Tom always said he was partial to this one, as he said in that live video you sent me.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't figure it out. For me, it's just senseless that this never even made it on. But I think, in a way, I hate to say this, but I don't think it would have worked as well with Jeff producing it.
No.
Yeah.
It sounds like, you might think I'm crazy, but like Springsteen big sound. Can you
I
hear
can
it?
kind of hear that a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Thankfully, it saw the light of day in 1995 on disc 6, the very last disc of Tom's
Mm-hmm.
playback box set.
Mm-hmm.
So we follow Tom as he's walking down the boulevard on his way to meet the only woman who cared about him, the only one without an angle.
Mm, which I'm sure that
Yeah, you gotta,
uh,
yeah, in Tom's position or any famous person, you gotta wonder, do they like me for me or because of my position?
well, he got married again, and they were married right up until he died.
Mm.
So he did find somebody.
Hmm. But he seems nervous about meeting up with her again, like he's wrestling with his overcoat and he's fighting with his thoughts.
Too good to be true. Am I doing the right thing? Is it going to be that good?
But the background singers keep singing "Good night, my love, sleep tight, my love," probably as some sort of reassurance. I think.
Now, what made him want to work with the Bangles?
Why not? Now, as in well, we already know who those background singers are, and I'm going to give them their names: Susanna Hoffs, Debbie and Vicky Peterson, and Michael Steele, also known as the Bangles. Genius move on Tom's part, and alas, it's 1989, so soon after that, the Bangles would break up.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Tom only played this song live once.
And we have footage of it. Nobody ever take it down.
That's on YouTube. It was done back in February 2017. He was being honored as Music Care's Person of the Year. And Tom had said for years he always wanted to do this live, but he thought it'd be tricky to do it without getting more singers involved on stage. And you're only having them for like one song and you have to hit the road with.
But to quote SpongeBob, we have technology.
Yep. So he got in touch with Susanna, Debbie, and Vicky, and they said yes. Michael was pretty much retired by this time.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, someone actually shot an iPhone video.
Mm-hmm.
And
not too shitty quality for a bootleg.
Yeah. Some of it was making me mad because, like, no, Tom's over there. You focus on Tom, and they kind of got the idea of it, like, oh yeah, the Bangles are doing their harmonizing, so let's look at them,
Yep.
and they'll go
Then
back,
go back
to
to
Tom. And I'm glad he finally got to do it live, and I'm sure he was too. And I think just the fact that he was being honored,
Yeah.
it was like, yeah, I can call up anyone, and of course they're going to say yes.
And the fact that he was going to die pretty soon.
Well,
in
no one knew
retrospect.
that.
No one knew, but it makes it all the more
Yeah, that he got
meaningful.
to do it.
Yep. Final track, Surrender. This is an interesting track to end on. Now, Tom almost sounds like a switch here. A phrase which here means a person who enjoys being both submissive and dominant. Because that's the energy he's bringing. On one hand, he's begging on his knees, but on the other, he's frustrated and angry at her for lying to him and manipulating him in order to for her to surrender to. And no. He's frustrated. Sorry. Blah, blah. He's frustrated and angry at her for lying to him and manipulating him. So he is ordering her to surrender to him. So this song has a unique emotional energy, especially with the song switching keys. Very cool concept.
Well, you dug deeper than I even bothered.
Yeah.
This is from Anthology Through the Years.
Mm-hmm.
This is a re-recording of a song that was meant to be first on Tom's debut album. So that was like back in 76. And then it was recorded a second time in 1979 for Damn the Torpedoes, but it was left off. Apparently, third time was the charm. So since this song was originally supposed to be back in 1976, to me, it just sounds like an old Tom song, even though at the time it was recorded in 2000.
Yep.
And don't hit me or lose it, but it sounds very Byrds-ish, which is how he kind of started out that way. And I think it's a nice way to close out the collection. We've come full circle.
Overall, Tom Petty was the bomb my soul needed. I really miss this guy, and I hope everyone else misses him too and knew not to take him for granted. Thanks for the music, Tom. We really enjoyed it.
As for me, Anthology Through the Years is a must-have collection of Tom's MCA output. The one disc best of is good too until you realize how much stuff is missing.
And also just listen to his Wilbury stuff too. That stuff's good too.
Mm-hmm. And then the 6-disc set is too much Tom, if it can be such a thing. Like, I went on Wikipedia and read, what was on each disc, and you get into a point where it's like B-sides and unreleased stuff and live stuff, which is okay.
If you're a super fan, that's fine.
But even that 6 discs, they're missing something as essential as Stop Dragging My Heart Around.
Really?
You only get a demo version. You don't get the finished. And I'm thinking, why wouldn't you put that on there? It's
Stevie
it's
wouldn't have a problem with
it's
it.
not 100% a Tom song, but it's like
It's
freaking
huge.
huge.
That or Wildflowers. If neither of those are on there, then that's bad.
Well, the thing with his Wildflowers album
Mhm.
is that was done with Warner Brothers, so
Oh,
different
okay.
label. And now when they put out Tom Best ofs, you're getting some MCA stuff and some Warner Brothers stuff.
Okay.
I do have a few nits to pick with Anthology though.
All right.
The first CD is 57 minutes long,
Mhm.
and the second is 66 minutes long.
Mhm.
So there was room for a few more songs. The ones I would have liked to have seen added to this were One Story Town, Southern Accents, Out in the Cold, which I cannot believe Out in the Cold is not on here. That was a big song off of Full Moon Fever. And maybe even Christmas All Over Again, I think should be on it. But again, it's a quibble. It's just a really, really solid set. I mean, 34 songs, and you will like or love every single one of them.
All right, as always, thank you for listening to the latest installment of My Dad Listens to This. Remember, like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. The more you interact with the YouTube video, the greater chance we have of appearing on the YouTube homepage. If you follow me on social media, I post the episodes there: Blue Sky, Instagram, Facebook, and Tumblr. Or if you're friends with my dad, tell him what you want to listen to, and he'll send an email right to your inbox. Note about next time's episode. The next episode on December 15th is going to be our holiday special. Not saying what it is yet, but as is per our tradition, we're going to record our Christmas special, and then Dad and I are going to take a break until the beginning of next year. So you got one more episode, and then we'll see you in 2025. Thank you, as always, for listening to the latest installment of My Dad Listens to This. We will be back next time with another album to nitpick and gripe about. Dad, anything you want to say before we sign off?
It's been over 7 years, but rest in peace, Tom.
Thank you, Tom.